we deliver neurodiversity training, but we do it all from a data-informed, lived experience, empowering way. Because, you know, teaching managers how to support their neurodivergent staff, or when someone, you know, makes an inappropriate joke and you call them out on it, it's really easy for them to kind of retract, shut off and feel guilty and then not want to actually learn about the topic. And so what we do, we call it calling in. So instead of calling people out on their mistakes at an NT, what we do is we call people in. I grew up non-verbal. I couldn't speak till I was about 5. And till this day, I still have verbal shutdowns, which I think are probably the most debilitating part of my disability, because I can't, you know, I wouldn't be able to speak here. I'm not able to communicate. I'm not able to do my work. But remaining optimistic that I have the support circle, that things will be okay and that things will work out.
Hi guys, pleasure to introduce you today on the Future of Skills podcast 2 of my guests, not 1, 2 this time. And I've got here in the studio Ana Madan, Ana, and Iveta Pudilova, Iveta. And I'll do a very short intro just to introduce you to who Ana Madan is, who Iveta Pudilova is. And the topic that we've got today is something completely new. We haven't had it on the podcast before, but it is the topic that deserves all of the attention because it is looking into the future of the workplace as it is and as it's impacting the employees on a larger scale today. So Ana is a strategic advisor and an early stage venture builder at the University of Birmingham, leading Elevate Startup Program. Ana brings a rare blend of commercial insight and heart-led guidance to mission-driven founders. From incubators to investment boards, Ana is the go-to architect of entrepreneurial potential, shaping bold founders and discovering untapped talent. Ana, welcome.
Thank you so much. I have to steal that introduction. I really loved it. I can't describe myself in these words, but thank you so much. It's lovely to be here with you today and with you, Iveta. So it's a first for me. So yeah, I'm happy.
Pleasure, our end as well. And Iveta is the founder of a neurodiversity training business that's changing the conversation around inclusion in the workplace. With a background spanning well-being and business psychology, Iveta is on a mission to make work environments safer, smarter, and more human, especially for neurodivergent individuals. Her story has most recently received nationwide coverage on BBC. So together, they represent a new kind of leadership rooted in empathy, activated by impact, and focused on skills that matter. And that's exactly what we're all about on the Future of Skills podcast, skills that matter in the age of automation and rapid change. So Iveta, Ana, welcome both of you.
Thank you so much, Nadia.
Thank you for having us.
A pleasure to be here today in this hot
weather, isn't it?
And it's very chilly and nice here. So yeah,
almost like
it's
30
nice.
degrees outside, isn't it? And
it's
here it's all nice
and calm
and air conditioned. And exactly that is going to be a nice drive-in into the topic of today, which is how do we support purpose-driven businesses in their earliest and most fragile stages, especially the most fragile stages that we're going to focus on today. So what are the skills? The emotional, the strategic, the practical, the founders need to really talk about these days. So Iveta and Ana, let's dive in a little bit into your backgrounds, each of your backgrounds, right? So here we've got a traditional question that we have on a podcast every single time. We start with this question in particular. And the question is, please kindly describe yourself in 3 words that you feel best describe you to.
Who goes first?
Would you like to go first?
I'll go first. To describe myself in 3 words, well, I would say I'll go with the 3 C's. C. So I'm a curious personality, like a curious human being. I'm courageous as well, and I am compassionate. And I'll add the 4th one if I can. So I'm fun as well. So
that transpires for sure.
To give a bit of background on this and how I managed to develop these skills. Curious because I always loved to explore and to find new stuff, new things. I was the one with my hands up, asking hundreds of questions. Even I do now. So I'm a mentor and a coach for startup founders. And my role mainly is to ask questions and to listen as well. But mainly is to ask questions. So I'm not afraid of asking even that stupid question, So I've learned the hard way that it's okay to ask ask questions and ask for help if you don't know. But I travel a lot, so I like to discover new places as well and discover new cultures and meet people. So that curiosity as a child should have is still with me. So I'm happy that I managed to nurture that skill.
Just about to say nurture was the right word in here.
Because you have to grow. You have to be open-minded to achieve that sort of curiosity, you know. So that's one thing. Another one is courageous. So basically being bold, because especially in the field that we work with in startups, it's a lot of uncertainty, and you have to be bold and courageous to try new things and to come with new ideas and speak up and, you know, like experiment. And the third one, as I said, is the being compassionate, because I've had this experience in my life as well when other people helped me when I need it. So I've been in different situations, you know. So that's why on my turn, I like to support others and to be there for them. And so just try to be nice in general, like a nice person. Try to be nice to everyone. And fun. I'm always saying to my founders, to our founders at the Elevate Incubator, just don't take life too serious. Instead of worry and develop that anxiety, just better like try to enjoy, have fun, and be excited about anything that's happening in your life.
Thank you. Avoiding anxiety is exactly one of the key topics for today. Thank you for the answer. You've actually made my job slightly easier here, because then on that note, I tend to ask questions around why do you feel that these are your choices of words.
I covered those
You've
bits.
covered this all. Thank you. Excellent. Iveta, over to you, please.
I say 3 words I use to describe myself. I'd like to believe that I am empowering, optimistic, and a learner, or I guess curious, kind of like Anna said. I think the first and the last particularly kind of combine into what we do at National Neurodiversity Training. Obviously, we deliver neurodiversity training, but we do it all from a data-informed, lived experience, empowering way. Because, you know, teaching managers how to support their neurodivergent staff, or when someone, you know, makes an inappropriate joke and you call them out on it, it's really easy for them to kind of retract, shut off and feel guilty, and then not want to actually learn about the topic. And so what we do, we call it calling in. So instead of calling people out on their mistakes at an NT, what we do is we call people in. And it's about, you know, teaching people in an empowering way. We want people to make mistakes because that's how you learn. And if you say the wrong thing, if you don't know the terminology, if you don't know how to support your neurodivergent staff or your neurodivergent friends, that's okay. But it's about how do you react to that? Do you put in the initiative to learn and learn from your mistakes? And it can be as simple as, you know, rather than telling someone, oh, what you said was wrong, you should be ashamed of yourself, saying, hey, that wasn't very nice. It leans on stereotypes. Would you be open to having a chat about it? And it kind of makes it a bit gentler. And so I like to hope and think that I empower others to be better, and constantly learning myself, you know, about being a business founder, with, you know, Anna's support, but even just about neurodiversity, because it's a constantly evolving topic. I mean, 10 years ago, you had people diagnosed with Asperger's, but then research found that it's linked to Nazism and their ideology of racial purity. So that's no longer a term that's actually recognized in the medical field, but people don't know that. And it's about constantly learning about what you're doing, about you as a person, to stay up to date and pass on that information. And then last one is, being optimistic. Because I think, you know, as you said, it's about having fun. And if you are a founder, any job you need to enjoy. But especially if you are running your own business, you need to be optimistic about the future and enjoy it. And on top of that as well, me being neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, that comes with additional needs. I grew up nonverbal. I couldn't speak till I was about 5. And till this day, I still have verbal shutdowns, which I think are probably the most debilitating part of my disability, because I can't, you know, I wouldn't be able to speak here. I'm not able to communicate. I'm not able to do my work. But remaining optimistic that I have the support circle, that things will be okay and that things will work out, I think is the main thing.
That's exciting. And what you just mentioned in terms of you trying to have this understanding of what's needed when it comes to the support of the similar type of tradespeople with neurodivergent background is something that you're coming from your own needs as well, because you're navigating it on your own, you're feeling you're in your own kitchen, right? So you're kind of trying to get the ingredients, the right type, and then nurture that and then share this with the world. So that helps me to be able to understand a little bit in terms of the choices that you've made in your career, right? I can see Ana being driven, the bold elements, the brave element comes through, because when you're talking with startup entrepreneur, you kind of need to motivate them back, right? You have to have those traits as being a motivator, and I suppose that's what linked between you two, right? You supporting Iveta, and then with Iveta's focus on the purpose-led business, it was something that you wanted to develop from the ground up, right? And then help the managers in their B2B environments, and then help their own employees. So on that note, in terms of your career pathway, was there anything in particular that you would say, oh, without that element in my life, this probably wouldn't have happened? Or on the other hand, say maybe this was a vocation that you were following through up until now? How has it been for you two each?
For me, thinking back, that's long, many years ago. So without one element, you say, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's, for me, it's people. It's like people I know, people that believed in me. And then taking it from that, I'm giving it back. So that's why I'm a mentor and a coach, and I support businesses to grow, because it's that element of circling back, So at one pivotal moment, it was someone that believed in me and supported me. But I always knew that I want to be to create a business or a movement or a platform myself. That's why, hence, I graduated from University from Republic of Moldova, which was business and administration, and my master degree project, it was business plan, so planning a business. So it was that seed since then, like I knew that I want to do something around business and innovation and creating something from scratch. So that was my passion since I was like 18. It wasn't the right time, and I wasn't surrounded by right opportunities and people then. And that was one reason, but it was very messy. So my career path was very messy. I was a barista, I was an interpreter, job center, which now that I'm reflecting back helped me a lot, because I can be on the other side as well, like a customer, and I understand different sort of frustration people have on different side. And again, about that element on being empathic. So empathy, it's a very big trait, and very, very big sign for me that you have to guide yourself through this. So that helped me in general in life, but I couldn't find myself. I couldn't find where I fit, in terms of jobs. So in Moldova, it was a different story. After university, we followed the same, standard route, which was I was project manager at different companies that none of them resonated with my values. So I actually started my own company, and now I'm providing services for big clients like University of Birmingham now for 3 years. And I'm happy, and everything aligns with what I truly believe. And at one point I still, because I've learned a lot on my side, from these guys, from the startups and the team and the network I have. So at one point I'm sure that my future looks like I'll put something in place, like I'll develop something, I'll build.
Sounds inspirational, if anything, and quite a journey, to your point, trying to navigate through various environments, and then just being a little bit more acute and with a very good hearing sense for yourself in terms of what's suitable and what's not, right? And then trying to navigate through it. So that resonates. Thank you so much for sharing. Iveta, what has it been for you in terms of the choice that you've made so far? And I appreciate you're fairly young, 23 years old, when me sharing that, right? But you're already the person which I dare say has something that has this purpose as part of your background. So how have you navigated and how you've reached that point so far?
Thank you. I'd say similar to what Anna said about people. If I were to pick one specific person, though, it'd definitely be my sister, Vera. when she was diagnosed autistic late in life, then that's kind of the first time I actually learned about autism and neurodiversity. Because as controversial as it is, despite running a neurodiversity, company, I didn't know about neurodiversity from the day I was born. Similarly, growing up in Czech Republic, mental health, well-being, disability, neurodiversity, it's not really talked about. And so then when I moved back to the UK for university, my sister, she was diagnosed, and I wanted to understand how to support her. And then through learning more and more about it, I realized, okay, I relate to this really hard. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the language and the terminology to describe my experiences, which is one of the reasons why people are getting diagnosed so late in life, especially women, people from ethnic minorities, also because of racial and gender bias in healthcare. There's a massive increase in diagnosis in the last few years because we're seeing, in podcasts like these, more people are talking about neurodiversity. So they're learning about it, they're relating to it, and they're learning about themselves, which is amazing. But I always knew I wanted to start a business. There was something there, that independence, that excitement of doing something different every day. And even from the age of about 13, I was tutoring different people and having that kind of freelance aspect. And so then years later, when I learned that I'm an ADHD, it made sense because ADHD is about 300 times more likely to start a business because it just caters to those needs of every day doing different tasks. It's exciting, you've got that spontaneous aspect to it.
Right, yes.
But through my sister, I became really passionate about neurodiversity, and I quickly realized that, as an individual, you can self-advocate, you can try and ask your manager for support, your teachers, but there's only so much support they'll implement if they don't actually know how. And we found there's this two-sided problem. There's this communication and knowledge gap. On the left side, you've got the neurodivergent individuals, and then on the right, you've got the people managers, the exec team, and so on. And they'll probably want to help and implement support, but they don't know how. They're too scared of saying the wrong things. They don't even start.
Fair enough, yes.
Or they don't see the business case of it, right? They don't know that neurodiverse teams are up to 30% more productive when they have the right support. And then on the other side, you've got the neurodivergent employees. Some of them are being diagnosed late in life, or they don't even know they're neurodivergent, so they don't actually understand what support they need. They tend to progress slower in their careers. They take more sick days. And studies find that on average, an ADHD employee will cost about £18,000 a year just because of the additional burnout, illness, and retention that it costs companies to not support them. And it's about closing that communication knowledge gap. And we realised that it's not about what individual people can do, but what we as a collective together can do to support each other. And through my sister, I became really, really passionate about neurodiversity, and I learned all these different stats and realised that there's a massive business case for it. And sure, you've got lots of training companies, but it's just a checkbox exercise for them. For us, we'll do interviews, we'll do data collection, and we'll tailor everything to the people we work with to actually drive that impact.
Oh, interesting. So definitely understand in terms of how you've reached that point and what motivated you to come here. When it comes to the assessment of the business case and the gap that it is at the moment in the market, let's take an average company, 200 to 300 employees. For them to understand what's the business case for them, right? What do they need to do? What's the first step? Do they need to do the assessment of all their employees to find out which ones are neurodivergent and which are not? Or how do you approach usually this?
That's a really good question. So let's say it's a company that's got 200 employees and they want to understand why they should actually care about neurodiversity. What we usually do first is we start off with our neurodiversity maturity assessment. Okay. It's like an audit, essentially.
Yeah.
And people fill out online surveys. They're all anonymous to encourage people to be as transparent as possible. And there's two of them. One is about how much do you actually know about neurodiversity and supporting people who are neurodivergent, so essentially your knowledge. And the second one is about your experiences. And we compare the experiences of people who are neurotypical and neurodivergent. Now, you don't need a medical diagnosis to identify as neurodivergent because there's like a 3-4 year waiting, for that in the NHS. But the data, studies, and also our research shows that neurodivergent employees, they're 50% more likely to drop out, to leave a company. They're more likely to be productive. And companies that have neurodiversity initiatives, Harvard found that they have about 30% more revenue just because neurodiversity initiatives support everyone. Even like a classic workplace adjustment for autistic people is having an agenda for a meeting. Agendas for meeting make them more efficient for everyone, but especially for autistic people. And so with that, we'll ask the employees to fill out these 2 surveys, really quick and simple, and then that gives us the stats to understand how much money are you losing, how much money could you be making, how much improved productivity could you have, and the business case is massive. People just don't know it.
Got you. So you do the value exercise for them.
Yes.
Once it's being asked. But it seems that this initiative, albeit it's an amazing exercise and probably most needed for the majority of companies out there, right, is more or less triggered on demand. What I'm wondering here, do you feel that there might be some benefit? I assume the answer I already know, but still need to probe on that, in terms of having this exercise done at the point of recruitment of every single employee in a company. Because, usually there are some assessment out there in terms of your personality tests or whatnot. There are tons of personality tests out there, isn't it? But I don't think that a lot of them, if anything, none that I've seen at least, would have that element of neurodiversity to be able to then hint into the hiring manager that there might be some extra need for them. Because ultimately what happens is when you're applying for any given role, right, there is a question that's asking you, are you, an ADHD type of, expert or person, or do you have that element in you, right? So you kind of have to have that self-awareness in you instilled already. What if you don't have that self-awareness, right? So you kind of need to find out, and the one point of doing that is through the assessments at the recruitment stage. So you come with the responsibility from the actual company. But do we feel that it's there yet, the appetite for it?
Yeah, so when it comes to recruitment, again, there's a communication gap. When you apply for a job, there's, questions about your demographic, and employers will usually ask if you have a disability. The issue with that question is that most neurodivergent people don't describe themselves as disabled.
Exactly.
Because they don't
quite
identify.
Marginal as a question, isn't it?
Yeah, because they don't identify with that term. Yeah. Because neurodivergence, even though it is a disability from a legal perspective, it's invisible. And so usually they don't check it. So employers, we usually recommend that they start asking, are you disabled or are you neurodivergent, to have those 2 separate. Because even so, physical disabilities and invisible have different support needs. But that's from the employer side. And that's actually a legally required question. Quite often they don't ask. They also quite often don't ask, do you require any reasonable adjustments for the interview process? Which they should be, but they're not, unfortunately. But then the communication gap from the other side is that employers or people who are applying for jobs, even if that question is there, they often don't check it, but that's because they're scared of bias and discrimination.
Of course, yeah.
Because they don't want to miss out on a job opportunity because of some stereotype.
So from your perspective, being in the field of and already doing a lot of trainings for corporates and a lot of companies in that field, what would be your first step scenario as of what needs to happen so that starts to get changed?
What needs to happen in terms of breaking down the stereotypes and the fear and the psychological safety?
Yeah. Especially the safety part. So it's not that imposing on the actual candidate to have that stigma on them, right?
To build psychological safety in a company, to encourage people to share that they're neurodivergent or that they have any kind of support needs, it's about starting the conversation and raising awareness. One thing that we do before doing these maturity assessments, before doing the research, the neurodiversity audits, is we do one-on-one interviews with managers, and we do focus groups with employees from that company who are neurodivergent, who think they might be, who are, but they haven't shared because they're scared to. We do marketing and comms and all these little things because they normalize the conversation. It's essentially an awareness campaign, and it encourages people to start talking and feel psychologically safe to have those conversations. Again, though, it also encourages people to actually partake in the maturity audit and the assessments, because the worst thing you can do, if you're giving a test and you don't know why you're giving it, you're going to cheat or not do it at all. We don't want people to do that. We want people to answer these questionnaires honestly, because if they're going to score 10% and the managers don't know anything about neurodiversity, that's okay. That's why national neurodiversity training exists. It's better for them to score 10% for us to understand their knowledge levels and their experiences, put them on the right learning path, give them the right support, and then by the time they've done our training, they're scoring like 95, 100% on those neurodiversity tests. They now know what they're doing and how to support their neurodivergent colleagues. But it's about awareness.
Thank you for sharing. That's valuable.
Can I jump in with a question, because it's not really clear for me. Why you call them maturity or test or assessments?
Honestly, it's just for marketing reasons. So we found that in the corporate world, they tend to do quite a lot of maturity assessments for different fields. Maturity assessments or audits.
Okay.
Either one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never heard of it. So I was
Okay.
like, maybe something that Iveta just put in place, something
No.
new too.
But
Okay.
that's good feedback to know. We're kind of trialing out maturity assessment or audit to figure out which one's best.
Yeah, and that element, just to add on what Iveta was saying, because you have like a form that you have to complete, tick the box, but many times happens that you're not aware. So you're not aware that you are neurodivergent. So you're not even gonna tick anything, and you're gonna start your job or whatever, and you'll feel like you're not fitting in, it's something wrong with you, and so on, so on. So that element of having surveys, all right, is good, but still it's not enough. But the element of having one-to-ones and group discussions and encourage to be open-minded, to talk, like in different formats. So that's what we are doing at the Elevate as well. And I can see so much, I don't know, people are opening up and they are talking about their shared experience. It's like, it's beautiful to see, to be honest. And many of the founders and in our team as well, we do the same by just communicating and talking about how you feel in different situations. You find some common traits and you bond differently, and you enjoy being there in that community and that workplace and so on. So you actually adapt and adjust, and it's beautiful in terms of, again, I'm gonna say community, and people have to communicate and open up, and talk about how they feel. But from the companies as Iveta's, to put policies in place to stretch the regulations, and rules. That's why we need companies like Iveta's to do those stuff, and then even more, like invent even more.
So I think what you're tapping into, both of you, Iveta is obviously talking about the need of more awareness in the workplace when it comes to neurodivergency, and how to tackle that with employees that might not even know that they might have these traits, right? With what you're sharing on, it feels that from the ground up, because obviously your mentorship focuses on the early stage, the most fragile stages, as we've put it in today's title, isn't it?
Exactly.
So the idea is that you would strive to give them that type of guidance that would help them to create the type of culture that would, from the ground up, be a little bit more friendly in terms of welcoming such type of initiatives and policies when it comes to neurodivergency. So when it comes to the cultural element of it, and that's the next question I'd love to tap into a little bit more, because cultures, when it comes to corporates, big or small, is always going to be the key to be able to retain the right employees, but also gain new ones that would want to join the right type of environment that you were saying. You didn't feel comfortable initially, right, in a certain corporate environment, and you said, nah, this is not for me, I'm going to drop out and search something else. Similarly here with what Iveta was saying, that you need to kind of try and educate those companies in terms of figuring out what might be the type of cultural element that would be user-friendly to these type of traits. So with that in mind, how would you describe the culture that would be user-friendly and that would be a lot more applicable to employees coming with various diverse traits, because it could be different traits out there. So what would need to be the right type of culture to be quoted as a welcoming one?
With smaller companies, and especially with the incubator that we are running. And just to say, we feel like we are a startup as well as the program, because every year with every cohort we refine, we try different elements and see what works, what doesn't work. So we are literally following the same journey as a startup, but with the big companies there, in terms of culture, they always say like big words there, but it's far from you as an employee, because you don't feel it. You are there, clock in, clock out, you don't feel it. Yeah, you go to one gather like community event, they tick the box, and kind of that's how it works for marketing perspectives as well. They put a big post over there, and that's it basically. But in smaller companies, and especially what we do with the founders and students and graduates, you feel the impact. Literally, you feel it. You see the growth. You feel how you impact can be like, I don't know, career paths, because it's not, building a business is not for everyone. We are just offering this platform for them to try what works, what doesn't work, and we encourage whatever works, but we give the opportunities just to try and see if works or not, or maybe partner with something. So beautiful things are happening anyway when you are giving the right tools and expertise,
Talk to me about the tools.
Tools, especially
what
now
works?
with what works, and especially we are sector agnostic. Yes, we take on our program everyone. So
do they need to be part of the University of Birmingham?
Yeah, they have to be either students in their third year or graduates, like no more than 5 years,
right?
Yeah,
As part of the experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what works, and for me that is the number one, and I love this element. We are sector agnostics. We take students with big ideas, not necessarily big ideas, with interesting ideas and more advanced than just an idea. In our Elevate program, we have a co-working space. So to say, we have law students, computer science students, from creative students, so psychology, history, geography, everything. Everyone can join. And the beautiful thing is the skill sets. They're all coming with different skill sets and different knowledge, and because we provide the space where we do the masterminds, we do the trainings, the workshops, a lot of networking events, for them to bond and to share their knowledge. So especially from what I noticed in these 3 years with the University of Birmingham, we have students from computer science, and we all know like tech people, they are more like introverts, so they're not there sharing, talking. They like to stay in the corner and do the work and code or whatever. But then when you ask them for help, they're opening up, they support others. So this element of supporting and giving back, as Iveta, she's in a place now to give back, and I'm always checking with Iveta my slides. Are they digital accessible? Are they readable? How do you think about this color, that color? So she helps me and us as a team, but in the same at the same level, she helps her peers, like other founders. So she delivered a session for us on digital marketing and social media, and how to be inclusive as well. So this element of show them, offer them the right resources and expertise, believe in them, so they're gonna motivate and impact others. So basically this element of building this community that it's a healthy circle, like you've learned, people supported you, so you are like offering back, and I love this element. Another one that works well is having like actually a physical space, to be honest, but in the same time offering the opportunity to connect online. So this hybrid, because not everyone loves to be there in front of an audience, I don't know. So, or maybe offering the tools to learn the modules or the materials on their own terms. So they decided, I don't want to go to a session today, but I have the materials, so I can learn it whenever suits me best, So those elements as well.
Yeah,
you can add as well, because you have
that.
a bit of a different experience from another side,
Yeah, having been on the incubator and the startup program, I know you asked about specific tools. Obviously, we had quite a lot of workshops. And I think that the workshop that had the most impact for me in our business actually was one delivered by Davies. It was on networking. And I think for any young person or anyone in general, networking, that comes with a lot of socializing and social anxiety.
Fair enough, yeah.
But especially also being autistic, there are additional social anxieties that you have. And for autistic people, a very common thing to do is to prepare scripts. Essentially, you practice and you think about what you're going to say in certain social situations. And we do it a lot in our training as well, where we help neurodivergent employees practice how they're going to share to their manager that they're neurodivergent, right? And it gives you confidence. But Davies, what he did was very simply, he was like, okay, this is how you introduce yourself. This is how you ask someone for their LinkedIn. This is how you follow up with them. This is how you excuse yourself politely without saying that you don't want to speak to the person. And these like short little sentences. And suddenly it made me feel quite a lot more confident, and to even just go to networking events and then implement that advice. And it builds on what you said about the importance of people and accessing that network. And that will then eventually help your business grow. So obviously all of the workshops were really, really useful. But I think that one stood out to me particularly just because it had a lot of practical insights.
That's exciting.
And role models as well, like they look at these people, they look up at these people. We have like UOB alumni network. We have a great community in the region as well, good connections. So they look up at those people. They have like million followers, So when you invite them, so they share their experience to say like, I've been there where you were. So they share their journey, their path, so they know it's not easy, and talk them through the stages, so they see like, oh, he's real person with real struggles, So this sort of like being an example and being open and share your journey if you have succeeded and you achieved, or anyone from different, can be an investor, can be a successful entrepreneur, So this element of either fireside chats, either panels, or just having a roundtable discussion with someone that succeeded or can open doors for you, and that element of introducing them, because imagine you're coming like basically naked, So you don't know nothing, you have a good idea that you validate it, maybe that works, you are passionate about, so you have what it takes, you have the good mix of ingredients, but then to take it to the next stage, that like it's 360, it's like you need a holistic approach to it, and especially we already have the trusted network with experts and people that we know. So offering this as an asset, this is very valuable. So building that network for them, exposing them literally in the events and opportunities where they have to talk, they have to connect. So they're building that resilience, connection, multiple like skills, in terms of building a business. So this element of nurturing a healthy ecosystem for them, it's really important. And again, I'll refer to Iveta because at the beginning when she started, she had a completely, now complements, like a business idea. And I would say some people, they were skeptical, at the very beginning, because it's not scalable, Where she is now, basically you turn your head and you can see her on another screen, another awards and so, and secured customers, and is moving up and up. So that's beautiful. And another element that I love, especially in the entrepreneurial world, and I don't want to say female, not female, because we are all like in a really good, strong relationship. But our beginning, like it was manager and founder relationship. So now we became good friends. So this element of, like growing together and supporting each other.
Agreed. Yeah. I think the role model aspect is really important. I remember when I joined, obviously, Anna was the key mentor, and I was quite intimidated by Anna. But since then we've become really close friends, and that relationship has changed. But I think as well with role models, I remember one of the first workshops we had at the program was with PJ.
Yeah, and that was powerful as well.
It was, and he delivered a session on personal branding, and he talks a lot on his LinkedIn about men's mental health and these other topics. And I used to be really kind of worried about sharing my lived experience being neurodivergent online. But obviously it's a big part of our founder journey. And since his workshop, I thought, you know what, let me actually start talking about this a lot on my LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn has had so much positive influence on the growth of our business. And that was all thanks to having that role model, someone to look up to, just from like a 1 hour session.
Actually, you're reminding me, today morning, just before I even went out of the house, there was this moment that someone has shared with me on the LinkedIn train station. There was someone with the falcon trying to kill the pigeons on the station as part of the pest control. And I was so worried that this is something that is now being taken at scale. So when I arrived at the LinkedIn station, I actually saw him in action. And there were children, the station. They were witnessing the killing part of it, and when there was a lady who was part of the catering, she's actually raised up this moment with someone as part of the station guards and told them that they said, it's actually something that CTC are paying for. Now I've Googled, and apparently you can use falcons for pest control, but only to scare them up. not
Okay,
to
not
kill
so-
them. So killing them is another step forward that
Yeah.
they've taken without any legal permission whatsoever, apparently. You know, and witnessing this all, people were just literally coming out of
That's
the you know the
awful. Oh
secure
my God.
secure area in the station to just not witness that, to avoid that. You see what I mean? So I immediately had posted something on LinkedIn because I was appalled. And you know, if you keep quiet about things like that are obviously derangeable, not just to yourself but to people around you, why keep quiet? You know, you can utilize some certain skills that can actually raise some voice out there. So yeah, I resonate with LinkedIn because yes, LinkedIn can be utilized for the growth of your business, but also in my view it can be an amazing tool to just show what do you stand up for. And if something is going wrong in terms of what you feel certain norms around you are just falling apart, or maybe, you know, things can happen, don't stay quiet, you know, raise a voice. So on that note, actually, talking about some purpose and the fact that obviously you both of you have purposes in what you do from a perspective of growing and nurturing the startups, and from the neurodivergent wing that you're taking and flying at the moment with. My question would be around the AI, because it seems that we've obviously discussed this element in terms of what needs to happen, what's currently happening, what are the tools that you guys are taking on. But with the advancement of AI, are we feeling that, you know, the certain type of traits are being either marginalized or are they being advanced more so? So to your perspective, neurodiversity in the context of AI advancements and with the rise of AI reshaping so many jobs, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how this shift is impacting neurodiverse employees. Because in my stance here, I'm wondering, are you seeing a quiet marginalization happening, or are neurodivergent individuals adapting and upskilling at the same pace as everyone else? What would be your partake in this?
When it comes to AI at work and neurodiversity, there's two key things. Obviously, recruitment is an issue, but then actually neurodivergent people are to some extent benefiting from AI.
Right.
So there's two sides to the coin. With recruitment, obviously if you're using AI in recruitment, there is going to be bias within that. Neurodivergent people already face bias in the hiring process without AI involved, so this will add to it even further. But when it comes to actually, if you're working in a company day to day, being neurodivergent can actually be a massive strength when it comes to using AI. Because now with ChatGPT and all these different AI models, it's about having the skill set to actually use it properly and efficiently. And especially autistic people tend to be quite literal thinkers, direct communicators. That will improve your ability to use AI. If you are a literal thinker and you are direct, you're going to be able to give better instructions to AI models.
Right.
So they're actually often, neurodivergent people were actually often better at using AI simply because of that. I have though also experienced, you know, obviously with the increase of use in AI, people are more conscious of, is this an AI call? Is this an AI email?
Yes, of
I
course.
have, you know, received feedback to my email sometimes asking, oh, was this an AI generated email? I was like, no, I'm just autistic. So my language, my communication is quite direct. It's not AI.
All right, that's a fun element of it then.
Yeah. So I think people need to be conscious and wary of that. So there are benefits and negatives, but I actually think that neurodivergent people are able to utilize it better. And even, you know, AI is in the tech industry, and about 53% of tech employees are neurodivergent. And AI is not going to be replacing those jobs. On the contrary, in my opinion, people in tech are going to be leveraging AI more and more to improve their jobs, because it should be an asset, not a replacement.
Iveta, a quick question regarding the statistics. The 53% in the tech companies sounds like it's a big proportion of it.
Yeah.
The stats are originating from the tech companies themselves, or there are some, you know, public sources?
So these are public sources. What's really interesting is that in the UK, most tech companies report that about 3% of their staff are neurodivergent.
Okay.
But that's only the 3% who have actually shared to their managers or have checked it on a form. When you look at kind of outside third-party public bodies that do this research, about 53% share that they believe that they are neurodivergent, that they identify as such, but apparently they're not comfortable to share that with their companies.
Oh, interesting. So it's a lot of work to be done on the educational side of it and the awareness part of it, isn't it?
I think this just started now. It's like 3, 4, 5 years max. We see more, in general, podcasts and events and panels talking more about
raising the voice.
Neurodivergency. I think it's quite recent, but
it's because of the pandemic. Obviously, neurodiversity has been around for centuries.
Yep.
But since the pandemic, there was obviously a massive increase in talk about well-being and mental health, because that's impacted a lot of people's well-being and mental health. And there's a massive overlap between that and neurodiversity. Unfortunately, neurodivergent people are more likely to have mental health issues. And so through that, there was that connection and that link, and people started looking into it more talking more, as you said, media attention, more people are relating to it more, and there's an increase in diagnoses requests.
How exciting. You definitely seem to be adding value to something that is needed at the moment in terms of, the type of the gap in the market that needs to be filled. And the more people are focusing on this element alone, it's going to be benefiting furthermore people around, right? So it sounds like the topic on its own is the type of topic that we could, talk
Have a
endlessly
podcast
around.
only about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A podcast just, I don't know if you've had this idea already, but it sounds like your company would benefit from a
suggested her
podcast.
this morning. She has to, yeah.
Yeah, I think because, the type of topics that you could tailor in it could be employment, it could be recruitment. I'd love to ask you tons of questions around recruitment itself, because you did mention there would be a bias, but I would leave this as part of the experience within the users that we would have either on LinkedIn or on YouTube that would obviously learn a little bit more from the episode that we will record today, that they might be able to ask questions, and then I hope that you would then partake as part of that conversation and give them furthermore guidance around, how to avoid that bias in recruitment, but also in the workplace. How do you make your voice heard? Do you want to make it heard when you're already an established and needed employee, or when you're a new employee and a newbie, right? There's quite a few topics out there that might need to be explored separately on its own, because it just needs a little bit more of a time justified for quite that. In terms of our other tradition, to wrap up our lovely discussion, what we do have is a flash Q&A, usually. And what this means is that we would expect an answer, usually, on a question. So that's why it's a flash experience, right? Right, so shall we? Drum rolls? Yeah, ready for it? Yeah, so first one. You are most passionate about?
Neurodiversity.
Obviously.
Startups and innovation.
Excellent, that resonates. And you're most scared of?
Oh, I'm most scared of being inactive. I think you touched on this before. When you see a problem and you don't do anything about it, it's all about noticing something's wrong and actually doing something about it. And I'm scared of other people being inactive, other people saying something seriously wrong and not doing anything about it.
Love that. Thank you.
Stupidity, honestly.
Give me more context.
But actually, my answer was like, I'm most scared of not having enough time. Not having enough time to live. Because I realize the time is flying so quick, and you have so many things that you still want to achieve and go on top of Everest and that and that.
But it does that.
So I have this fear, but I'm trying to not to focus on that. So yeah.
It usually would be the case for the active people, isn't it? For those that don't do much, time actually is not that much of a stretch. Right. So most precious human skill in the workplace, please.
Most precious human skill in the workplace is the ability to advocate. So lots of people will say communicate, but I think it's advocate.
This is the first time I'm hearing that in the podcast. Well done.
Thank you. So I think it's about advocating for yourself, for your needs, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, giving that feedback consistently, but then also advocating for others and whatever you're passionate in, because that's going to create a ripple effect and inspire people around you.
Can it be detrimental though?
Definitely. So one thing that we see a lot is neurodivergent employees who have openly shared that they're neurodivergent. They become the go-to source. They advocate for neurodiversity as a whole at the company, but that can then lead to a lot of fatigue and a lot of emotional pressure put on them. And it's not fair. They're not like trained in neurodiversity. They're just experts on their own experiences, and they have the confidence and the ability to share it publicly. But then constantly advocating can be obviously quite tiring.
Takes bravery. Thank you. The one for you, most precious human skill, please.
Empathy again and again. That's number one for me. Yeah.
Let's flip the coin. Most precious AI skill in the workplace.
Most precious what, sorry?
AI skill in the workplace.
The most precious AI skill, I say, is giving clear instructions. Again, knowing what you want and need, and then being able to use AI agents effectively and giving it the instructions you need.
You started up from the prompts idea, isn't it? It's exactly the core of any LLMs out there. For you, Ana?
For me, from my experience with the neurodivergent community anyway, it's because we have a lot of ADHDs. I am
Yes.
like not test. I never done the test, but I know I have ADHD, dyslexic. I don't know. So ChatGPT, OpenAI in general, ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever you're using, is massively supporting and helping either to write an email, either to automate your routine, your task, anything. So it's massively supporting, especially for neurodivergent community. And it's not the brain. It's not doing it. You are the one with the emotion and deciding where to apply it. It's just giving you a structure and a frame, and depends. You have to use it smart. But the founders, as I see, they're utilizing it in the best, especially when you are solo founder. So you have to multitask, and it's massively helping. It's like having a mini team around you, basically. Yeah.
Gotcha. Let's talk about kids. What's the one skill schools should be teaching about, but they don't?
Entrepreneurship. And that's not obviously one skill, it's a whole topic. But education system is created to kind of put you into 9-to-5 job. And as Anna said, entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, and that's okay. But I think if you get to try building your own business when you're in primary school, you will learn about marketing, about finance, about all these different things. And that will give you a better taste of what you want to do. You could either be a business founder and manager, or you could work in one of these departments. If you're a business founder, you work in all the departments. But I think entrepreneurship, teaching that is a holistic, it's like project management, but all these different sectors that you eventually can go to work into.
Sounds good. Thank you, Anna.
I like that one, by the way. But I would say resilience.
So, ladies, thank you so much for your time today, for a wonderful discussion. And it seems like there is even more to it. And hopefully you will be doing your own podcast soon, right? So thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.